All right, recording to the cloud. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, great. Well, welcome to Next Level Career Growth. This is all about defining, designing, and stepping into the work that you were made for. And some of you may be in that now, some of you not. But I apologize for the time zone mix-up, and I will rectify that for tomorrow night. Thanks for being patient and jumping on the call here. And what we're going to do is I'm going to take you through the day one agenda and the agenda for the week. And I will just tell you that this 5 days, which will be about 30, 35 minutes of me every evening, and then the rest Q&A and dialogue. This is what I've learned in 12 years as a career development coach. I've worked with over 600 clients, and we'll get to that here in a minute. And it's designed to help you get to the next phase of your career, whatever that might mean. All right. So day one is all about getting paid in your purpose and defining your purpose, which we need to do before we even get to anything about a resume or LinkedIn profile or interviewing skills or any of that, which will be later in the week. So here is, uh, just do this. So tonight, again, get paid for your purpose or in your purpose, and we'll talk about your value proposition day two, networking in a smart way on day three, interviewing and negotiating day four, and then a wrap up and turning this week into a breakthrough year for you on day five. So key questions, and if you have a notepad or you're using notes on your phone or whatever it might be, what's most important in your current career or job? What would be important for a future career position? And how does your career fit in with your life goals? A lot of people that I work with, and myself included at different points, career finances were way up here. The rest of life was not. My goal is to integrate everything that we talk about this week into your life as well as into your career plans. So what I'd like to do now is some brief introductions, which would be name where you're zooming in from, what you're doing currently, or if you're in transition, what you'd like to be doing as best you know going forward, and what you'd expect to learn or find out about or discover this week. So, Mike, since you're at the top of my Zoom list, you can start.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Generakis. I'm Northern New Jersey. I'm in the mechanical contracting field, and I'm trying to get out of the senior PM role and go into like a directorship, VP operations.
Okay. And how has that either been not made available to you or been blocked in whatever way that might mean up to this point?
Without sounding arrogant, um, I'm just so good managing in the field.
Mhm.
You know, putting out all the fires in the projects and just having them run smooth.
And that's one of the reasons why you get sun on a regular basis too. If I'm noticing that, yeah, right,
Yeah.
which is good. And listen, that healthy dose of confidence related to how effective you are in what you do now is absolutely critical for anything that you want to be doing going forward, especially if it's a little bit of a career shift. Okay, and your goal for this week.
Um, to be able to scale myself up, for lack of a better term, you know, I can do what I'm doing now, but I can scale it up in more of a managerial role in
Hmm.
operations.
Okay, okay, totally understood. And one of the things, and I'll just say this, this is a little self-serving on my part too. I've worked with over 600 clients in the last 12 years, and three of them in the last 2.5 months have made significant step function up gains in their career, not just in terms of title, but in terms of compensation and also in terms of responsibilities. So that's a big deal. And you're clearly at a point in your career where you know you can do that. It's just a matter of properly communicating. And this is what we're going to get into the remainder of the week, communicating your value and then getting that value proposition in front of as many of the right people as possible, including internal, by the way. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an external move. Okay, Marston. Thanks, Mike.
Good evening again, everyone. My name is Marsden Clark. I'm in the IT field. I manage IT for the Home Depot across New Jersey. I'm in Pennsylvania, Allentown. So it's a bit of a commute. Um, and my goal for this week is to, I guess, find a way to break through. Something like Mike. I'm sorry, Michael. Um,
Okay.
I'm pretty good at what I do, especially putting out fires. But I've been in this role for too long, 6 years, and
Okay.
I've gotten almost comfortable. And as we all know, that's not really a good thing when it comes for growth. So I'm trying to break through to get to the managerial level, and um, and instead of being the one putting out the fires, directing other people to put out the fires, so to speak. So I'm really looking to get the tools like really the art of negotiation and like building up that self-confidence in my skills because I know I have the skills. It's just
Okay.
communicating that to other people.
We're gonna pull it out of you like a bad tooth. Okay. And I mean that in the healthiest way, even though it doesn't sound healthy, in the healthiest way possible, because of the 600 plus people I've worked with and thousands of others that I've interacted with in the last 12 years, I'd say somewhere between 90 and 95% of them either undervalue themselves or they've been undervalued by the people that they're or by the companies or the organizations they're working for, or they don't even know what their real value is. Okay, and that which is, some combination of those three is really common. And the whole goal here is to take the gloves off and make it work. All right. Okay. Thanks, Marston. John.
Hi, I'm John. I'm also in North Jersey. I work in advertising. Not sure exactly what my goals are for this week.
Okay. And what are you looking to do going forward, in terms of you're in advertising? What role do you have are you the account side? Or are you on the creative side, or a little of both? Or what is it that you're doing?
Not the creative side. I do planning, buying, and campaign management.
I see. Okay. All right. So you're kind of the third leg of the triangle with an ad agency, and I've worked with dozens of them as a client and a few of them as a staff or a consultant. So I'm pretty familiar with that. What size agency are you working with right now?
I'm in between roles right now.
Okay, got it. All right. And is agency work something that you would either want to do, would seriously consider, or you want to get as far away from it as you can?
I'm fine with agency. I could also go vendor side for the right opportunity or potentially client side.
Okay. And what industry experiences do you have as being part of the agency? And I know in your role it's kind of industry neutral, because if you're doing the buying and all that other kind of stuff, there that encompasses almost any industry. But
Yeah, so I've worked across medium and across a lot of different client verticals.
okay,
So it's, the breadth of my experience is pretty substantial.
cool. All right, great. And for how long have you been in transition?
I was laid off a while back, then I had a couple of freelance roles. So I want to get out of freelance and get back to something permanent,
Understood.
quote
And
unquote permanent.
yeah, well, I will rephrase your language there as kind of full-time or on staff as opposed to permanent.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I think we all understand where that's coming from as well. So, all right, great. Thanks, guys. We'll move on here. And so our agenda today is defining your purpose. What is it that you want to be doing? I think, Mike and Marsden, you've been pretty clear. John, you're maybe not in terms of what direction you might want to go or how you actively want to pursue it. But my whole goal in doing today, and it will be, you'll see this throughout the week, is to prompt you with the right questions. Because once you're prompted with the right questions and you allow yourself to take the gloves off and say, okay, I want this out of my career situation, then it's way more likely to happen. My role is to help you navigate the pathway to get there. All right. So, who are you and what are your dreams? And I don't mean just in career related stuff, but other aspects of your life. Where are you now? Where do you want to be? Are your search objectives within the job market or in the career related market, same career change, or are you pursuing a passion of some kind that we may not have discussed, which we can as we go forward? All right, so the next one is going to be a little bit of background on me and why I believe it'll be worth you spending time with me this week to pursue your next career move. I started working at age 10. I'm the oldest of six, and I was the recipient of hand-me-down clothes, and I got tired of it. So when a paper route opened up, I started delivering newspapers. It took me 2.5 hours a day when I was 10 and a half to deliver these newspapers to 77 customers. But it was my first foray into the working world, somewhat entrepreneurial, somewhat working for an organization. A couple of months ago, I counted up how many jobs I've had, and this is what qualifies as a job. Something that's paid me more than $1,000. Either I was on staff or a consultant, or I had an assignment at some level to do. And I've had 44 of them since age 10. Some people say I've had more jobs than a stand-up comic, and at some level they're right. And that used to be a big issue when I was interviewing because I did have a lot of jobs. The longest I stayed with any corporation was 4 years. And I worked in marketing, brand management, advertising, and new products for a number of different companies that are very well known: Procter and Gamble, Johnson and Johnson, Del Monte Foods, Panasonic. I did a lot of work as a consultant in the pharmaceutical industry, worked for a couple ad agencies, and I also drove Uber and Lyft during COVID because that was the only way I could really earn an income. I was doing job fairs in person, and those went the way of the dinosaur overnight, back during COVID. The other thing is I have an engineering degree as an undergrad and an MBA with a double concentration in IT and marketing. I went the IT route through internships, then decided marketing brand management was best for me. I also have been very active in athletics, fundraising, and community activities my entire life. I still play competitive sports, although I can't dunk anymore, and for what it's worth. Um, but I also have, as it relates to this work, during graduate school, Mike and I went to the same college a few years apart. But I went to graduate school at Indiana University. I was at the game that Bobby Knight threw the chair, if any of you have ever
Oh,
seen that iconic episode, first row, second level, and it was like an earthquake. It was a crazy environment. I was also fortunate enough to get a graduate assistantship as a career counselor. So I helped probably 800 undergrads find their first internship or full-time job. It also became the basis for the book that I wrote, Finding God's True Purpose for Your Career, which is something that I use with all my clients as a roadmap. And I worked with a gentleman named Henry Lesher who asked me to come help him at a job fair 12 years ago last month. And I realized that it was a whole lot more fun marketing people than it ever was products or services. And that's why I've been doing this work since then. I've hosted over 200 job fairs in 7 states, a lot of them in northern New Jersey. Right now, we moved out of New Jersey during COVID because we realized our adult kids who live in Texas were never coming back and we'd never see them. So we spend 7 months of the year in Texas, and five, I'm reaching you tonight from northern Vermont, about 20 miles from the Canadian border where my wife has a cabin. And as long as she lets me stay there, then we're all good. Um, I've also worked with 645 clients in 12 years. So between my number of jobs and the number of clients I've worked with, there's not a whole lot that surprises me. And I can usually connect the dots between situations and make either suggestions, recommendations, or provide advice along those lines. I've had direct experience in almost every functional area of a for-profit business, and I've done a lot of work with nonprofits, but I'm not a nonprofit expert or education, although I've worked with people in both those fields. All right, so my mantra is this, and this is the subtitle of my book, is that God put us all here for a variety of reasons. Career is one of the most important. So it's up to us to define and manifest those reasons, what they are, and manifest them in the best way that we possibly can. And I have found that people really resonate with the following statement. Everybody has superpowers. Some people don't even recognize they have them. And by defining them and communicating them properly, you're going to make a whole lot more progress than you might have if you don't. Okay, some people like to play close to the vest and not give themselves credit for the things that they are really good at. And one of my roles is to say, hey, you're really good at this. You're taking this for granted, or we haven't expounded upon this enough, either in your resume, your LinkedIn profile, or any communication about yourself. A lot of the work that I did as a marketing manager and a brand manager goes into the work that I do now. I introduced 50 plus new products and services into the marketplace, and they all had unique positioning or reasons to be, and they were directed toward a target audience. And that's one of the things I do with every client that I'm working with. All right. If we're not connected on Facebook or LinkedIn, this is my backdrop photo, and I'm all about creating career clarity so that you can find the position that really suits and fits you. I'm going to go off to the different direction here, but it will come back toward career development here in a minute. Are you on the front nine or the back nine of life? I am clearly on the back nine, because if I'm not, and I live to 130, that's going to be a problem for my kids, I promise you. And I turned 24,000 days in July. And you might ask, why do I count days? It goes like this. Years come and go, but everybody knows what 24 hours is. And proper use of 24 hours creates a good life. It creates a great legacy. My mother, who was born with spina bifida, still don't know how she had 6 kids and then raised us, because she was physically very handicapped, but she never was mentally or emotionally. She lived 32,219 days. And just for the record, 10,000 days is 27 years. Little about 27 years, about 4 months. So if you look at your life in terms of, first quarter, second quarter, first half, second half, whatever it might be, it's fine. But if you look at it on a day-to-day basis, it becomes a lot more meaningful. And what will your epitaph say related to what you're doing career-wise and what you're doing life-wise? Is this a time to make some major changes, or listen to that little voice inside you that's still telling you that you should be doing something, or you wanted to do something? Or is there some legacy that you've wanted to create, but working full-time has gotten in the way of doing that? And that's, again, all of these are questions that we're going to be asking, and I'm going to be prompting you for throughout the week. So how many of you, just show of hands, employed or generating an income? It looks like 2. Is that accurate? And John, in transition. And I've worked with a lot of people who have had life events, and life events qualify as this: either they had a major health scare, or a close relative, a spouse, or they're taking care of a sick parent, or an aging parent, or a sick child, or something that takes them out of the career mainstream. And these are very common. And life will always win versus career. That said, career will always come back when the life event is taken care of. So at job fairs, in front of 50, 75, 100, sometimes as many as 200 people, I would ask people to raise their hand when they saw something that fit them. How many of you have been downsized, right-sized, laid off, reorged, riffed, let go, fired, furloughed, or forced out, or somehow separated from your organization for reasons you don't fully understand? And for what it's worth, and I'm not entirely, I guess I'll use the word proud of this, I've been part of every one of those, some of them more than once. And it's painful. It hurts because it's your identity, it's your career, it's something you've spent a lot of time, money, energy, and effort to become qualified to do. And when somebody says, we no longer need your services, there's no doubt that there's a grief process that goes along with it. My goal in this role is to make that grief process as short as possible. In 12 years of doing this work, I've gotten 3 phone calls that sounded like this: I just got laid off, meaning they were happy about it, meaning it was something they were looking forward to. Everybody else, and that's hundreds of people, has some level of grief that goes along with it. There's a whole section in the front of my book about how to get through all that. So if you haven't experienced this at some point, or any of these at some point in your career, well, God bless you. That's great. But if you have, you know what I'm talking about. So my goal for this week, and my vision for anybody that I'm interacting with or working with, is to turn a job into a career into a passion. If you're in between jobs or careers, is to get you off the bench and back into the game as soon as possible. Receive the highest compensation as you can for what you do, and create high levels of fulfillment and satisfaction. If you do the very light homework this week, and if we end up working together, there'll be more of it. You'll quickly learn about yourself, identify your goals and objectives. We'll put together a strategy that was going to get you into the marketplace with a solid resume, LinkedIn profile, a targeted search campaign to get you in front of as many of the right people as possible, and you will have superior interviewing skills. So which of these describes you? I mean, we've already talked about this, but what I found is that if I highlight the bottom here, it says there are so many people out there who feel unfulfilled, underutilized, understaffed, overworked, and overwhelmed. It's kind of scary, actually. And surveys have shown for the last probably 30 years that I'm aware of them, that somewhere between 65% and 80% of people in a given job are unhappy for one reason or another about it. And my goal and role is to eliminate those situations and upgrade you to whatever it is that you aspire to. Um, Next slide here. How many of you have seen this before? Show of hands. Marsden, you've seen it. Okay. John and Mike, no. I didn't make this up, but I love it. And I literally operate from this perspective. The perspective I talked about at the front, that's is part of my book, but this is on page 6 of my book as well. It's a Japanese concept that has been adopted all over the world. It roughly means purpose in English or dharma in Sanskrit, but that's not a strong enough definition. The definition down in the bottom left here, it says reason to get up in the morning. It's all about what gets you out of bed and what motivates you to move on in your life, or move forward in your life is a better way to say it. Because when you hit this bullseye of what you enjoy doing, what you're good at doing, what you can be paid for, and what the world needs, and you hit that bullseye, everybody wins. You first, and then everybody around you. And that means family, friends, colleagues, anybody you interact with. When you're enjoying what you're doing, there isn't a better feeling in the world. Famous philosopher and author Mark Twain, the two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why. And sometimes that reveals itself in different ways at different times. I had 4 careers. I started as an engineer, then I went into marketing and brand management, then I was a consultant, and now I'm a career development coach. And so there have been various stages of finding out why, both in life and in career. And again, this week is designed to bring that up to the surface. And a little tongue in cheek here. Anybody see Steve Martin in The Jerk? I know I'm dating myself, but I found my special purpose, and he wasn't talking about the purpose related to his career. So if you see that, it's a very funny scene. You can pull it up on YouTube. The field of career and job search, and I think Mike knows this. I played baseball from the time I was 7 until I was in my mid 30s. I played high school, college, semi-pro for several years after college, and fast pitch softball for years until my second child was born. So this diagram, although it seems kind of elementary and a little trite, it actually lines up really well for what career is all about. So tonight we're going to be talking about career goals and direction before you even step into the batter's box. Tomorrow we'll talk about value proposition in the form of your resume, LinkedIn profile, or other social media quote unquote branding. On Wednesday, we'll talk about outreach and networking. Thursday, we'll talk about interviewing and negotiating. And then scoring the run on Friday will be landing the dream job or career that you are looking for. So again, keep this diagram in mind as we're going through this, and you'll get to where we're trying to land. Again, here is the agenda for the week. I'm just restating what was just on the previous slide and at the very beginning. Tonight, we're talking about dream and then defining your goals. Is this the time to make changes in your life or career and pursue something that you've really loved doing but just haven't given it the credence? I know I spent years working at jobs that I liked, that was good at, but I wasn't totally passionate about. But hey, look, I had 2 kids to raise. I had to put food on the table. And a lot of people find themselves in those situations. And then the question here is working one-on-one with someone who's been there and back several times. That means me. Is it worth it for you to do? And I'll get into that in a little more in a minute. Not to over dramatize the situation, but absolutely your destiny is in the balance. Carl Jung once said, I am not what has happened to me. I am what I choose to become. And from today onward, that choice you now know is yours. Not that you didn't before, but I'm going to be um, reiterating that through the entire week. You may not be able to read this meme on the right, but it says 10 years from now, make sure you can say that you chose your life. You didn't just settle for it. And what about working with a career coach, which is what I am? It's an investment in your future, much like many or both or all three of you have related to a college degree or graduate credentials or really any kind of credentials, certifications, etc. And it's a basis for continued career growth, not just today, this week, this month, or even this year, but it's a basis for what you can use for the rest of your career. People sometimes look at it as an expense, but it truly is an investment if you look at it like this. If you're making six figures, you're worth about $2,000 a week or $400 a day. If you invest a week or two of your salary into your next role, and you happen to be between positions and you get back to work a week or two sooner, then it immediately pays out. It's also tax deductible. So anything related to career search is a tax deductible expense. It's like climbing a mountain with a Sherpa, me being the Sherpa. And then I would ask if there's something that's holding you back about, especially some of the things that each of the three of you have said, what is holding you back from what you want? And there's a really good quote from Proverbs that I like: as iron sharpens iron, so does one person sharpen another. All of you have skill sets in stuff that I may not have any expertise in at all. I could communicate about them, but I couldn't legitimately do them, if that's what you mean. Like, you couldn't put me into your jobs. But my role and goal is to make sure that you're communicating in the strongest possible way what your value can be and has been, as well as getting in front of the right people and then interviewing in person what you've communicated either in writing or online. So where are you now? If there's certain things that have been going on, and Marsden, I'm going to pick on you for a minute, but you're saying you've been in this role for 6 years and you got a little comfortable with it. There's a long commute. There's some things that are kind of annoying about it, but it's up to you individually. And I'm saying this to all three of you to decide, okay, I've had enough. This is the enough moment. I'm ready to move on. If you're in a situation where it isn't working out, it's important to quote unquote fail forward fast. So by doing this, you put yourself in a situation where you leave the stuff behind that isn't working for you and you move on to something else. Throughout a job search process in any part of career development, a positive attitude is an absolute gold mine in terms of being the right place to be, that you can communicate your own energy in a proper way to others. If you're in a situation that is difficult, this too shall pass, as long as you're committed to having a better outcome. So, right,
Bill,
go ahead.
forgive me for interrupting. I think
That's all right.
it's important. So I told you that I was currently working,
Hmm.
but what I failed to mention, and I bring it up now because of this fail forward fast, and I think I'm following your advice already. I put in my 2 weeks notice today,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I don't have another job, but
Okay.
that's okay.
Okay.
You know, I just, and I'm not going to get into the details with everybody listening. You know, we all
Okay.
have to move on, but enough is enough, you know,
Okay.
and we'll take it from there. And that's why I told you in my email to you how, getting that email was very fortuitous. It was just funny.
Okay.
But I
Um,
was, I wasn't sure if I was going to do it this week, last week, what next week. I put it in this morning, and that's it. And I'm here. So is that the
okay.
fail forward fast? Like, just get it over with, right?
That is exactly what we're talking about. And given what you said up front, the fact that and there are two slides later on in the week that say, when is your enough is enough moment? And you've already defined that. I don't know the exact moment that said you're going to do it today, but there were triggers that came along for the ride that align with what you were saying when we first got on the call. And you said, "Hey, okay, I'm better than this," and I applaud you for that. Absolutely applaud you. Okay, and because it takes a lot of cojones to say, "Okay, I got a secure, steady job, but I'm worth more. I'm better than this," or whatever combination of sentiments that you may be having. So, um, I've only done that once in my life. Okay, and I was at a point where I didn't have family. I was, I was able to do it, and it turned out that within a month I had something that landed. but we'll get into more detail about this, and
Yeah.
especially in an offline conversation.
Yeah.
But congratulations is
Thank you.
no, I'm serious, because if you're in a situation that isn't working for you, it can eat at your very soul in ways that are it's like putting a frog into a pot of water that's cold when you start, and then you turn the heat up and the frog doesn't know when to get out. But you decided I'm done. Okay. And I give you a lot of credit for that. All right. Okay. So this is a perfect transition point for what we're talking about next. I've done a lot of study on this related to gratitude. And you can rewire your brain to be happy simply by recalling three things you're grateful for every day for 21 days. There are habits that your mind has to wrap its arms around, subconscious and conscious, that take from between 21 days to as much as 3 months, depending on what the circumstance is. And in cases like smoking or addictions, it can be even longer than that. The bottom line is you can rewire your brain, and it's important to know that gratitude is something that is a huge trigger in a positive way towards rewiring your brain toward more positive things. So some of you may recognize the meme on the left is from Rhonda Burns, The Secret, and what came out of that as it relates to gratitude is this: it's a powerful process for shifting your energy and bringing more of what you want into your life. Be grateful for what you already have, and you will attract many more good things. And then the other meme there says, what are you grateful for today? And the famous Roman philosopher Cicero said that gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my handy dandy phone stopwatch and give us 2 minutes, and you can use your iPhone note app, or you can use a pen and a paper and just say, what am I grateful for? All right, go. Okay, as you've heard in various testing facilities, time to put your pencils down. Okay. Any thoughts, reactions to this exercise? Have you done it before? What was coming up for you? Maybe not the specifics in terms of what's on the list, but what was coming up for you mentally, emotionally, even physically sometimes when people think about what they're grateful for.
Good memories,
Okay.
the good times in life, and times when you felt happy and, you know, at peace, I guess.
Okay. Mike, John?
Well, I have the standard, I'm grateful for my wife and kids
Yep.
and my health.
Hmm.
Um, the last one was something different this time. I just came up with it. I'm grateful for my like uniqueness, you know?
Okay.
Um, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but I definitely do my own thing.
Okay. So this is one of those things that this is going to be part of the homework for tonight is to elaborate more on that. All right. I'm gonna get to the homework here in the next slide. John, any thoughts on chronicling what you're grateful for?
I mean, kind of similar thoughts, just thinking family and health and then kind of the things around me.
Okay. Again, the more specific you are about any of this, and this is scientifically proven as well, the easier that you open yourself up to receive greater things. All right. And it's one of the, again, I've done a lot of research on this in the last 10 years, and it's phenomenal what gratitude, some people call it prayer, some people call it um, you just slowing yourself down enough to say, wow, this is really good in whatever way that might mean. All right. So the homework for tonight goes like this. As best you can describe at this point, and by the way, if you got and I'm asking here, did you get the Google invite? It looks like all three of you did. Attached to that is a Google Doc that you can use as, your kind of quote unquote your notes for the week. This is all in there. So you can either screenshot this or just go to the Google Doc and you'll be ready to go. Dreams for your life, as best you can describe them right now. List of things that you're grateful for. And Mike, I'd ask you to kind of, what about your uniqueness? What specific things related to your uniqueness? And we're going to talk about that in great detail tomorrow. Can you pinpoint? And what do others say about you that you kind of take for granted? And again, we'll get into more detail about that tomorrow. Um, at this point, and all three of you kind of said this up front, what is your current career purpose, mission, and objective as best you can define it right now? And that may change as we're going through the week, as other questions and prompts come your way. Some of them you will not have seen before. Okay. Any questions on that? All right. So I'll also put something else out there. If you are interested in this, I am going to keep each of the recordings will be sent to you the day after or the evening of, and I'll do that later on here tonight. But if you want to have lifetime access to them and you want to have a bonus call at the end of the week to implement everything that we've talked about, and you want a copy of my book, it's $47 VIP. And you can either do it tonight or do it later in the week or whatever. If you decide to do this and you decide that we should work together between now and the end of the week, this 47 would be credited towards any of the work that we might be doing. And I'll get into more detail on that on Wednesday, what the specifics are. So that is it for tonight. Any questions, thoughts, reactions, suggestions?
I will say this. I guess is my personal story. Really quickly, not anything too in there, but I always seem to run into you when I'm at a career crossroads. We met about 10. It's been a while, maybe 10 years
I
ago.
want to say I think it was 2017, but I either
Yeah,
way, go ahead. No, because
yeah, it's been a while, and I was at a career crossroads then, and I'm at a career crossroads now, and I'm incredibly grateful. So um, I believe in Kismet.
as do I, or karma, however you want to describe it.
Yeah.
It looks like we first met on November 28th of 2018 at a job fair in probably the Sheraton Terra at Parsippany, if that sounds right, because I'm usually pretty good about taking notes and all of that. That's what my records say. It may or may not be accurate, but I believe they are. So good. Well, glad to hear it. There are no accidents, by the way. So, Mike, John, any thoughts, comments, questions?
Nice hearing from you, and this was a great session. It was good day one. Thank
Good.
you.
Well, now that I figured out the time discrepancy, I'll make it. It'll be 8 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night, and you're all in New Jersey, so you'll know what that means. And the fact that you got on at 9 o'clock is saying something too. So I apologize for the mix-up, but we'll straighten it out. All right. So with that, I'll say see you tomorrow. And dating myself here, but same bat time and same bat channel, and we'll go from there. So have a good night, guys, and give yourself a few minutes while it's still fresh in your mind to kind of fill in the blanks here, because this is the whole. There will be stuff to do each night this week. It's not. It's what I call simple, but not always easy. But if you give yourself the space to do it, it'll start flowing out from you in a quick and easy way. Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Good night.
All right. Enjoy your evening. All right. Take care. See you tomorrow.